sure about, but we'll just have to see what happened. And you never want to react to events like this too quickly. Right? You never want to just jump on top of this kind of thing, right? Because you never know. You could call it too soon. Never forget Cuba. When Fidel Castro came to power in Cuba, they gave him a big parade in the United States. Dwight Eisenhower called him the Thomas Jefferson of Cuba. He came on American television and they called him a hero. He walked around the United States. They gave him a big parade. And they asked him if he was a communist. He said, no, I believe in democracy and freedom. And, I don't believe in communism. I just want to build a better Cuba. But then he started nationalizing things. And then the Soviet Union started offering him all kinds of aid. And then Cuba became a socialist country. Well, for the first year or so after Fidel Castro came to power, a lot of people thought that Fidel Castro was a U.S. puppet. And it turns out that at first the USA was against Castro. They were backing Batista. But then when it became clear Castro was going to win, the CIA actually gave him money. That's factual. They did give him money in the final years because they thought, hey, this guy's going to win the revolution. He might as well be on our side. But then when it became clear that he was going to use his power to improve the lives of the Cuban people, and the Soviet Union was willing to give him aid, that's when, 1961, Cuba really solidly went into the anti-imperialist socialist camp. The Communist Party was formed and took power, and but let's remember that. But if in 1959 you'd seen the way Fidel Castro took power and you just listened to what he said right afterwards, you would have turned against Fidel, right? And the Workers' World Party, the first issue of their newspaper, they will never put it on the internet, ever, right? Because I've read it. And I saw a copy of it. And it's quoted. There's places it's quoted. The very first issue of Workers' World newspaper denounces Fidel Castro as a bourgeois nationalist. And the third issue of Workers' World newspaper actually goes as far as attacking the Communist Party USA for supporting Fidel Castro. And it claims that Fidel Castro is an anti-communist. It accuses the Communist Party USA of being sellouts for supporting Fidel Castro. It spreads rumors that Fidel Castro is going to put all the communists in Cuba in prison, and they called it wrong, right? They jumped the gun. The Workers' World Party was formed in 1959, and Fidel was not talking like a communist when he first came into office, and so they announced to the world that they were against Fidel Castro, and they had to eat their words pretty quickly because it was very clear that Fidel Castro was, solidly in the socialist camp in the next year. Within a year, 1961, Fidel was pretty solidly in the socialist camp and aligned with communists. So they made a mistake, and that happens sometimes. And you have to remember, often the dynamics in these revolutionary struggles gets very confused, right? I mean, look, there are